Do you prefer your freight cars to be underweight or overweight? Today we're taking a look at your responses to that question. Coming right up. I'm Roy Smith. Thanks for joining me. In my previous video, I said I was putting together a full-length episode about all the things you can do to upgrade your freight cars. But as I began to do that, I realized that such a comprehensive video would be frightfully long. And as I already know from my video analytics, most people prefer to watch model railroad videos that are relatively short, about 5 to 7 minutes in length. So instead of doing a single video on the topic of upgrading your freight cars, I decided instead to upload a series of shorter videos, each devoted to one thing you can do. In any case, I just want to say at this point that we model railroaders have a good reason for wanting to upgrade our freight cars. And that reason is we want our cars to run as well as possible on our layouts, and we want them to look as realistic as possible. So here are the kinds of upgrades we will be discussing in this upcoming series. First, mechanical upgrades, including adding weight to underweight freight cars, replacing trucks and couplers, and installing metal wheels. Then we will discuss cosmetic upgrades, including making changes to certain types of cars, such as removing roof walks from older box cars and putting dents in gondolas, changing duplicate road numbers, and weathering our freight cars to include painting and decaling them in that discussion. Those are the topics that we will be discussing in the upcoming series. But if you think I have left out any important topics, be sure to let me know. I am creating a playlist that will contain every video in the series. So you can go to the playlist to watch the videos in the same order that I will be uploading them. Naturally, I will put a link to the playlist down below in the description to each video in the series. Now then, in my previous video, I asked you an important question to set the stage for the series. That question was, do you prefer your freight cars to be underweight or overweight according to recommended NMRA standards? A whole bunch of you responded to the question, and today I'm going to share your responses. I will do that in just a moment. First, though, I want to remind you that it was a package that my friend Robert Browning sent to me which launched this whole series. Robert's package contained 18 older freight cars. Before sending me the cars, he warned me that they would require some work, and you will see me doing that work in the upcoming series of videos. Now let's get back to your responses to the question, do you prefer your freight cars to be underweight or overweight? Here's how you responded to the question. Those of you who prefer to run your cars slightly underweight pointed out that doing so makes it easier for your locomotives to pull your trains up grades. You also said that overweighting your cars can add to the wear and tear on your locomotives. You noted that underweight cars are better suited for running long trains. By contrast, those of you who prefer to run your trains slightly overweight said that overweight cars look more prototypical. They behave as if they are heavy, just like real freight cars. They are less bouncy and they are less likely to derail. And you noted that overweight cars are better suited for switching operations. Of course, a number of you try to weight your cars exactly as the NMRA recommends. Meanwhile, others of you are content to just run your cars right out of the box, no matter what they weigh. As always, there is no right or wrong answer to this question about weight. As with nearly everything in the hobby, what you do is a matter of personal preference. And what does this term slightly, as in slightly underweight or slightly overweight, mean anyways? It's pretty subjective, isn't it? In his response to the question, Bob Chaparro of the Model Railroads of Southern California Facebook group recommended that cars should weigh no more than 10% above or below the NMRA recommendations. That means, for example, that an N-scale car whose NMRA recommended weight is 1 ounce should weigh not less than 9/10 of an ounce and not more than 1.1 ounces. Here are a couple of other things you said in your responses to the question. You said your decision regarding the weight of your freight cars can be affected by whether your layout is flat or has grades, whether you prefer to run long trains or do switching ops, whether your cars are loaded or empty, and whether you want to run multiple locomotives, including multiple units at the head of your trains, DPUs, and helpers. You pointed out that it's easier to add weight to some types of cars than others. For example, it's easier to add weight to a box car than it is to a flat car. You pointed out that it's better to place heavier cars at the head of a train and lighter cars at the rear of the train to reduce the likelihood of derailments. And you pointed out that the quality of your track work and the quality of wheels and couplers may be more important than car weight in achieving smooth, derailment-free running. Well, there you have it, my friends. Your responses to the question, do you prefer your freight cars to be underweight or overweight? Me? Well, I prefer my cars to be slightly overweight because that reduces the likelihood of derailments and it reduces the wobbly behavior of the cars. Now then, in the next video in this series, you will see me adding weight to the cars that Robert sent to me. Be watching for it. And remember, there are now more than 300 videos for you to watch right here on this channel. I will put a link to my videos page down below. Go over and browse around. Or you can watch these two videos over here just by clicking on them. Well, thanks again for joining me today, and thanks for sharing your thoughts about freight car weight. As always, I'm Roy Smith. Until next time, happy railroading.